Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Mass Art. This is a public institution, and it is devoted to the preparation of artists, designers, and educators from diverse backgrounds to shape communities, economies, and cultures for the common good. That's our mission here, and it's been that since 1873. It is a public institution. It's your school. You should be proud of it, and you're welcome on this campus anytime. We're especially glad that you're here tonight for this celebration of artists in the Boston community. So let me just say this. Thank you to those of you that are grantees, that are working artists in the Boston community, for helping to make this city more like the place we all want to live. Yes, an applause for all of you. I'd also like to thank Mayor Walsh for his commitment to supporting the arts in our great city, and for Kara Elliott Ortega and her staff who work so hard to support arts and culture in this city. And I have to say this about Kara: for all the wonderful work that she does, she cares deeply about the arts in Boston, but it is evident to me that she cares even more deeply about the artists in Boston, and that matters a great deal. So thanks to Kara, and I'll turn it over to you. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. This is always a really fun event for us because we just get to celebrate all of the amazing work that everyone here is doing for arts and culture in the city of Boston. I want to thank President Nelson and Mass Art for having us and hosting us for this event. And want to say how exciting it is that we are announcing a record 221 Boston arts organizations and projects that have been awarded Boston Cultural Council grants. And congratulations to everyone. Can we just do like another round of applause just for everybody? Thank you. We're always excited to support the work of our cultural organizations in the city, and this year we continued to receive more applications, a 22% increase from last year, many of whom were first-time grantees, which is always really exciting to us. The total amount granted by the BCC this year is $487,000, which includes $187,000 from the state through the Massachusetts Cultural Council and $300,000 from the city of Boston. And we know how precious these resources are and how far everyone in this room leverages every dollar to do the work that you do. This is why I'm so thrilled that Mayor Walsh has proposed a bill that would establish a statewide commission on tourism and arts and culture investment. This commission is tasked with identifying a dedicated state funding source for the arts and would affect the entire Commonwealth. Dedicated funds, yes, applause is good. Dedicated funds would allow the city, but also all of the creatives, organizations, and partners in this room to grow our programs and support for the arts. As we work to get this bill off the ground, I encourage all of you to reach out to your local state reps and senators and ask for their support. And if you're interested in actually seeing the proposed legislation and want to write down the numbers of those bills, we've got copies at the registration table out front for you to look at. I also want to take a moment to thank the Boston Cultural Council for everything that they do to oversee this program. The council is made up of appointed volunteers, and it's no small task to implement this level of grant making, which includes hundreds of hours of grant review. If you're a BCC member out there, can you stand or raise your hand? Can we give them a round of applause? The Cultural Council are also real thought partners to the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture. Together, we're deeply committed to helping creativity and culture in Boston thrive, really thinking about what role the city can play to bring resources to organizations and places that would otherwise not have access to creative spaces, to self-expression, or to celebrations of heritage and tradition. In a few minutes, or maybe now, okay, we're gonna bring up the chair of the Boston Cultural Council, Ann Moritz, to talk about a new initiative that we're doing this year as we think about how to incorporate equity into the work that we do.
Hello, everybody. I am delighted to be here, and it is in large part because of the information that I am able to share with you tonight. I am encouraged and thrilled to announce a pilot effort that reflects our growing commitment to equity in our funding process as a council. This is very much a first. We began last year with the formation of an equity subcommittee. That committee put together a statement that was ultimately adopted as a working equity statement by the entire council. You can find it online. It is now published. With that statement, we began a process, not ended a process. And tonight, we are honoring the next step in that process by announcing a recognition of model equity organizations. This is an effort to begin to deliver, and I'm going to quote from the statement itself, an out loud process of actively reflecting, including, and rewarding cultural, economic, and racial diversity in the arts. As Cara mentioned, over 200 grants were awarded, the largest in our history. We took another step with all of those. We looked more intently at an equitable practice within the leadership, the operation, the organizational policy, the mission, the audiences, the community connection, and outreach to see who was doing it well. Over 24 council members and City Hall staff served as judges. Alongside a system of screening, a point system, we elaborated on the applications themselves, why the candidates should be recognized, how they believe equity comes alive through the work of their organization, the individual knowledge we had about organizations, the community, and our own experiences. We engaged in a process that was hard, introductory, uncomfortable, risky, hopeful, and exciting, and launched ourselves on an amazing learning curve. And truly, we are still just beginning. A shout out tonight to two people in addition to the equity subcommittee members, Rosalie Hunter and Sonia Koss-Gleason. If you happen to be sitting next to these people, raise your hands if they're there. I can't see a single one of you out there. Those people not on the council itself played a key role in planting the seed of this idea and providing us with their own research and their own writing about how to look closely at how equity can effectively guide an organization. This pilot is a way to try something and learn. It's a way for the council to think deeply about how this process can inform future grant making. We did not deliberately establish specific guidelines for this recognition. However, we did see themes emerge in those we're going to be recognizing tonight. All of them turned out to be broad-based, multidisciplinary operations. All of them had budgets under $500,000. In fact, if you total the budgets of all of the organizations we're recognizing, you'll still be under $500,000. And they resource and celebrate diverse creative voices across the city. I am also excited to share that with the support of both public and private funding, each organization recognized tonight will receive an additional $5,000 above their original awarded grant. My hat and this council's hat is off to these organizations and to the nearly 20 finalists, exemplary finalists. You have helped us promote what an equitable Boston already means through your practice. In addition to Pat McSweeney and Abigail Norman, raise your hands if you're out there, I am going to ask 3 other members of the Equity Subcommittee to come up, and that would be Marie Fukuda, Bridget Brown, and Jen Falk, in helping let you know who these organizations are.
Okay, we're going to keep the suspense going for a minute. because I want to make sure that we have a chance to hear from Mayor Walsh, somebody who's been investing in the arts since day one and is the reason that the BCC funding from the city is at the level that it's at today. So we're just going to bring him up. Please join me in welcoming the mayor.
Thank you very much, Kara, and I'll be brief because I apologize for being late. I was stuck in City Hall dealing with a few things. Ian was talking about risky. I'm like, I like that. It's, you know, it's we're changing here, and I can't see anybody here because of the light, but you seem like a very serious crowd. There we go. Now I can see everyone. I just want to thank members of the Boston Cultural Council. I want to thank Kara and her incredible office. I want to thank all of you in the room. I want to congratulate all the folks, the awardees. This event has now turned into one of my favorite events in the city because this event didn't happen in the past. And I love the fact when you hear the organizations, when you put them all together, what your total, I don't say what your total value is, but what your operating cost is. That's really the intention behind what we're doing here tonight. And our plan, Boston Creates plan, was a plan that looked at all different arts in the city of Boston. And one of the main focus was we wanted to make sure that local artists, small art organizations were able to access money, and that's really what tonight's all about. So I want to congratulate all of you for being here. I want to congratulate the commitment that we have here in the city. In the budget, we didn't unveil our budget yet. We unveil it in another week, but we're making more investments in the arts cabinet to make sure that we continue the momentum. We're going to continue to work with Mass Cultural Society to help them with funding at the state level, Mass Cultural Council, I should say. We also are making sure that when we lobby the state for the budget process this year, that we're going to be lobbying them on a statewide level to make more investment in the arts. I know that when I was a state rep back in '97, Mass Cultural Council got a lot more money per capita, if you will, than they do today. And when budget cuts happen, it's usually the arts funding that gets cut. And we have to make sure, continue to make sure the creative economy doesn't get cut, because it's important for the future of our city, it's important for the future of our state, and we need to continue to move forward. So I'm going to stop talking there and congratulate everybody. If Owen Cannon's in the room, I apologize. Owen prepared my remarks, and I just read the first card, so I'm sorry, Owen, but I was late, and people are waiting, so I'm not getting in trouble. Thank you.
Drum roll. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, in every question regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion, this application gave a strong answer and then continued into why and how. They literally walk the walk and talk the talk, or talk the talk and walk the walk. Most of their teen artists are people of color and come from low-income households. All attend the Boston Public Schools. They equitably locate public arts events in or at the boundaries between low-income, culturally rich neighborhoods whose residents often feel excluded from the city's cultural life and from civic dialogues that affect their community. When asked about diversity in its programming and audiences, the organization listed 17 different bullet points of specific actions. They are living in existence based on equitable practices and not just ideals. At all levels of the organization, they are an equity model for Boston. Their additional funding will provide stipends to youth artists for their summer youth artist project. This organization is the Urbano Project, represented by Anthony Pena and Penelope Taylor. If you're here, is Anthony here or Penelope? Yay! Congratulations. Congratulations.
Hold on, we need the picture for Instagram. Karen, come on, Karen. Oh, this wasn't happening.
Oh, great. read about the next group. They are doing a much more intentional job of promoting cultural equity and equity in the arts through their hiring and programming than anyone I know. It's baked into their mission and the work they do extremely explicitly. They are working diligently to position artists of color to be leaders in the arts, better artists, institutional leaders, academic experts, art funders, and CEOs. They are working to change the way power is held in the Boston arts community. They've thoroughly investigated the equity gap in arts and cultural resources, published an equity study, and will be holding an Arts Equity Summit in 2019. Their additional funding will help provide tickets for the Arts Equity Summit, supporting local artists and cultural organizers' attendance. It will also aid in publishing and disseminating findings from the next phases of their Cultural Equity Gap study, set to release this fall. Congratulations to Arts Connect International, represented by founder and executive director Marion Taylor Brown.
Our final awardee tonight is a traveling multidiscipline live arts and music education and entertainment series that helps audiences and audiences of color redefine how they experience and relate to all forms of artistic expression in underutilized public spaces. They intentionally provide safe space and intimate engagement for audiences and artists of color to connect, build community, and relate with one another. Their application articulated the cultural and systematic silos that exist in Boston and give need for their work. I valued and appreciated their social justice approach, empowering local artists to change the city for the better. Their additional funding will help expand their partnerships and community organizations to provide more equitable and accessible performance opportunities for underrepresented artists of color. Congratulations to BAMS Fest, represented by founder and executive director Catherine Morris.
That's scary. Okay. Can I come up now? All right. Ooh. I'm ready to meet you all.
Thank you to everyone, to all of our awardees, our model equity organizations this year. This has been a really interesting experiment, as Anne was saying, and we'll continue to iterate on this and learn from what it means to really think about the kind of work around equity that our arts and culture organizations are doing. So congratulations to them, congratulations to all of the Boston Cultural Grantees. Your work enriches the arts and culture community in Boston, but it impacts the whole city. So please enjoy yourselves, eat food. If you see somebody with a council member name tag or a staff name tag from the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, please introduce yourself, and we would love to get to know everyone in the room. And we look forward to continuing to support the impactful work that you're all doing. Thank you.